first experience of Dick's camp was flying in low on a helicopter, landing on what I would have thought was a postage stamp. There was no room at all. And then we were off, 61 steps down to the river and a steep bank. I remember getting down there and thinking, this is a wonderful place.
We arrived at Dick's camp. They'd not had rain for about 3 weeks. As a result, the lagoon in front of the camp was absolutely full of fresh run salmon, with the result that it was difficult to catch them hooked in the mouth. It was just too easy to snag these fish, and that proved a real difficulty because once they're snagged, you can't turn the head. They set off towards the sea, and it takes ages to catch and release them before you can start fishing again. So in an effort to overcome this problem of snagging, we were using floating lines, lighter flies which stayed near the surface, and the retrieve, we tried to make that as slow as possible to avoid snagging them. We saw bears, but they were at some distance. We weren't troubled by them being very close. But one day, around lunchtime, I heard this noise behind me, and about 20 yards away there was a young bald eel, and he'd found the remains of a salmon, and he was having his lunch, and he wasn't at all concerned that I was present. It was a privilege to see him. The majority of salmon that we saw were, that we were aiming for, were silver coho salmon. There were the occasional pink salmon that had missed the boat, as it were, and were still remaining in the river, and we caught the occasional dolly varden as well. But the prime target was silver coho salmon, straight from the sea and ready for a fight.
On the first day, I went down and I think on the first 3 casts I had 2 pulls, and the first fish I caught was a steelhead, which really was a bonus, and it was a lovely fish. It wasn't large, probably 4 or 5 pounds, might be a bit more, but it was a beautiful looking fish, and that was the start. When I first came, then I obviously prepared a lot of flies for this adventure. Mainly there were egg-sucking leeches, woolly buggers, purple and black, the odd silver one. And I found fairly quickly that what we were really catching on were clousers, pink and green.
The flies that I found most effective were clousers, and I tied some myself, but sadly they were fluorescent green, which worked very, very well, but unfortunately I tied them on wire that was far too fragile for these very, very boisterous fresh-run salmon, and they found it very easy to straighten the hooks. The colours we used were mainly pink, green and black and silver. They seem to be the most effective colours.
You'd wade in and you'd try to reach across to the far bank and let the fly come round, either drift round or work round. We were on a floating line and a reasonably heavy fly. Soon realised, I think, that the fish were fairly well packed into the far bank. And just to make sure that you were not hooking or snagging too many, you would then cast 2/3 the way across the river and let the fly come round that way, which hopefully would cover more fish that weren't packed close together, and hopefully would chase your fly. I think I caught 2 or 3 chum, which are a much different fight from the coho. The coho are more acrobatic, whereas the chum, head down, never jump, very difficult to get in. So that was something different again. And then a few jacks, as they call them, the small coho. That was really nice. It was the variety that went on was so exciting.